If you happen to be thrifting and find some super cute teacups, I have got a great idea for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need a hole in the bottom. So I'm going to put the teacup topside down in just a basin of water. I took my drill and drilled a small divot in the bottom, and then I took a 2-inch nail and hammered gently until a hole had formed. Now I need a bigger hole than this, so I tapped a few more holes around and you'll see it starts to break up. And this is the point where it starts to get fun. So then I just take the hammer and start gently tapping around where the existing hole is, and I'm essentially trying to open up the entire bottom of this cup up to the ridge. The first thing I'm going to do is to take one of these adhesive hooks, and I am going to adhere it where I want the curtains tied back. Once I have that adhered, I'm going to take my cup and I am going to pull from the bottom the sheer curtain panel through the bottom of the cup. And then I'm going to just make a really basic knot through the handle of the cup to hold the cup in place. Now at this point, I'm going to pull some of the curtain back through the top of the mug just to create a nice ballooning effect. And so there you go, a lovely tie back in a very unconventional way. And you can also use the saucer as a bonus.
I headed over to the Home Depot to pick up a couple of towel rings and a canvas drop cloth. Then I ran into Walmart to pick up some no-sew hem tape. Grab your canvas drop cloth and fold it evenly in half lengthwise. Cut along the fold with sharp fabric scissors. To clean up the raw edge, you're going to use your no-sew hem tape and an iron. I recommend folding over the raw edge about an inch or so and pressing the fold with your iron first. This will hide any frayed material on your fabric. It's also a great time to iron out any of the wrinkles on the panels themselves. It's time to install your towel ring to the wall. Follow the instructions that come along with your towel ring. Now that it's installed, I carefully folded my curtain like a fan or an accordion to give it some style. Voila! A simple and elegant way to accentuate any window in your home.
Ever wondered what to do with Grandma's old china or those pretty dishes you always see at the thrift store? I picked up 4 teacups, 4 saucers, and 1 larger cereal bowl at Goodwill. First, we need to drill a hole in the center of each dish. Mark your center point where you want the hole and clamp the dish down securely so it won't move on you. Most of your dishes will need a hole right in the center of them, but you'll also want to plan ahead for where your power cord will feed out of your base pieces. You'll need a basic DIY lamp kit for this. Take a few minutes to read through all of the instructions up front so you understand how all of the pieces will fit together now before you start assembling. It's really not too complicated, but you want to make sure you know what part goes in what order. Grab a tube of E6000 adhesive and start building from the bottom up. Add glue to your contact points between dishes, press them together, then let them sit for about 5 minutes to get tacky before making them permanent. As you stack each piece, continue threading the lamp cord up through the holes that you drilled. Once you reach the top, follow your lamp kit instructions to attach the socket and wiring. This is simpler than it looks, and once it's all wired up, you can go ahead and screw in a light bulb and test out your new lamp. Top it off with a lampshade to finish things off, and you have a one-of-a-kind lamp with so much vintage charm. Who would have guessed that a pile of old dishes that were collecting dust could turn into something so charming?
Grab a wood dowel rod that is 1 1/8 inch in diameter and a set of 2 wood finials. On the end of each of the dowel rods, drill a hole that is centered and about an inch deep. Take both the dowel rod and the 2 finials and spray paint them in a color of your choosing. It works best if you spray several light coats for even coverage. Once everything is dry, screw in the finials to the end of the rod to make sure they fit. Now take a couple of simple J-hooks. Take a couple of wrenches and pull so the J-hook opening is just a little bit wider. Now take these J-hooks and screw them into the wall with a drill above a window. You may need to use a screwdriver to tighten them into the wall. To give your room a sense of added height, place the hooks so they are closer to the ceiling rather than closer to the window. With 1 finial removed from the dowel rod, thread 2 curtain panels onto the rod and then screw the finial back on. Hang the drapery rod and curtain panels onto the J-hooks in the wall. Depending on the size of your window, you may need to hang 1 or 2 of the curtain tabs on the outside edge of the J-hooks so the curtain looks even across the top of the rod. You now have a classic drapery rod for hanging curtains for just a few dollars and very little invested time.
This scrap piece of rug is the perfect size for my work area, but I really don't like the look of it. I found this cotton shower curtain for a great price recently. I'm going to trim off the excess shower curtain. Before I attach the shower curtain to the rug, I want to iron out as many wrinkles as possible. It's time to attach the shower curtain to the rug now. I want to use some spray adhesive to keep the shower curtain attached to the rug so that it doesn't move around. I want to put the spray adhesive both on the top of the rug and the back of the shower curtain. Next up, I need to adhere the edges of the shower curtain. I'm going to pull them to the back side of the rug and then just use some hot glue to keep them in place. I don't want to pull the shower curtain so tight that it squishes the rug fibers, but just tight enough to keep it snug around the edges of the rug. To finish off the corners, I'll trim off the excess and then glue down the edges the same way I did on the other side. Finally, I flipped the rug back over and I want to spray 2 coats of Scotchgard all over the shower curtain. This is going to help keep my new rug nice and clean, and I'll easily be able to clean up any dirt or spills that might happen when I'm using the rug. This custom rug was so easy to make, and I love how unique it is.
For these projects, either go to a thrift store or check your storage room, as you will need teacups and also a lid with a finial or handle on top. First, take a wick and attach it to a round sticker and stick to the bottom of the teacup. Place a popsicle stick with a hole in it on the top rim of the teacup and have the wick coming through the hole. Scoop 1 3/4 teacups full of wax and place in a pot. Heat the wax until it reaches a temperature between 158 and 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Prior to putting the wax in the teacup, heat the teacup up with boiling water. Now pour the hot wax in. Place a few sprigs of lavender on top or other dried flowers. It will take about 2 to 3 hours to set up. Simply wind the wire around the finial and then pull straight. Wrap the other end around a pen tightly by making several loops. Now insert a photo in between the loops and place in a favorite spot to enjoy. Flip the teacup upside down. Use E6000 glue and place a thin line of it on the bottom of the teacup. Place the saucer on top and make sure it is centered. This project can be used as a holder for sweets, as a jewelry holder, or you could even put a candle on it and use it as a candle holder. Look how beautiful all of these look together. They would be great decor pieces for a desk, shelf, or entry table.
Check out what I found at the dollar store that's going to completely upgrade my builder grade blinds without replacing them. To get the burlap ready to use, once it's out of the package, all I want to do is get rid of the wrinkles. So I'm just going to iron it on some low heat before I move on. Now that the burlap is nice and smooth, I want to finish the edges. I don't have to worry about the 2 long edges as they're already finished. I just need to do the side edges. To do that, I'm going to use my low temp glue gun and just put a thin bead of glue along the edge and then fold the burlap over. I only need to fold it over about 1 inch or 2, just enough to catch all the loose edges. Now that that's done, I want to make a pocket for the curtain rod to go through, and I'm going to use my glue gun again. I'm going to fold over the top edge about 2 or 2.5 inches and then glue it down. This is going to create a nice gap that I can slide the rod through. I'm going to do this to the entire length of the burlap until I get to the other end. With all of the edges finished, it's time to put the burlap onto the rod. I'm going to remove the end of the rod to make it easier and then just slip the rod right through that gap that I created at the top of the burlap. I've made sure to put the seams at the back so you can't see them. With the burlap all on, I'll put the end of the curtain rod back on. To finish the look of my faux blinds, I'm going to measure out 2 pieces of twine. I want the twine to be double the width of the burlap, and then I'm going to add on a little bit extra because I'm going to need that for tying later. All that's left to do now for my faux blinds is to scrunch them up and tie the twine. This is going to create a beautiful look that I love. I'll do the same to the other piece of twine, and then I'm done. How pretty are these faux burlap blinds? They make my builder grade blinds look so much better, and they only cost $5.
I'm Sherry Pavlovich from Confessions of a Refashionista, and you're watching Hometalk.
So your first step is to simply glue your cup to the saucer. Now, because this does have a chip in it, I am going to be gluing the chipped edge facing the back of my saucer. Next, we need to create our ladder. So to do that, we're just going to grab our chopsticks or the popsicle sticks, decide what kind of angle we're going to stick the ladder at, and then mark where it needs to be cut. Now we have to chop our chopsticks to size. Now I just simply like to score through the wood with an X-Acto knife, and then usually they break off pretty cleanly. Now you can simply put your thumbs on either side of your scoring marks and give it a good snap, but I like to use my pliers just because it gives it a much cleaner looking break. Next, you want to grab 4 or 5 toothpicks and chop off the pokey ends if they have them. So now that we have all of our ladder pieces, we can glue them together. Now that the ladder is done, we can grab our cup and saucer again and start putting it all together. So first, we are going to fill our cup about 3/4 of the way, just with some random filler. You can use a bit of the craft moss if you want. You can use balled up paper. Whatever you have on hand will work. The only thing you have to make sure to do is squirt some glue into your cup and on the sides, just as a bit of security to hold it in place. Now, because I've already decided that I am making a little garden in my teacup, I know I am going to be using this lovely green craft moss. However, if you want to do more of a water scene, then go ahead and grab those dollar store glass beads and place a bunch of those over top of your cup filler and create the illusion of a lovely seaside. So now, just like I did with my cup filler, I am going to put a whole bunch of glue first all around, and then place my craft moss in place. Next, we're going to position our ladder and stick it in place. Now, if you want, you can put a little bit of the craft moss just sticking in those little bloops of glue on the bottom of the ladder just to kind of cover it up a little bit. That looks so adorable. Now, this whole project is so much fun to make, but we are coming up on now the most enjoyable part. And this is when you get to arrange all of your little toys, all of your little furnishings for your tiny little fairy teacup garden. And I mean, if you have a kiddo like mine who kind of has a large collection of these, then it is very, very easy to find lots of little chairs and perhaps even a little sofa, a little kitty cat here. And again, even if you don't have a kiddo or you're not around any kids, these can easily be picked up, like bags of them, at thrift stores or even at your local dollar and discount stores. Alrighty, I think I have decided on my little toy setup here, and I already went ahead and glued some of the craft moss to the bottom of my little faux tree here. And I also stuck a little tiny scrap of fabric to my tiny table as a tablecloth before I stuck on the cute little cupcakes. And my adorable little fairy garden is now ready to be displayed.
I like to display my teacup fairy gardens in my plant areas in my home. And here's another one I made, and I did use popsicle sticks for this ladder, and it has an adorable little toothpick umbrella as well.